Now folks, I don't know about you, but I'm always looking for compact, EDCable, on a budget folders. I love budget stuff. I'm on a price point just like you guys, and I like the more compact size blades when I'm carrying for EDC or everyday carry. I'm not really into the really large folders. I just don't tend to use them or carry them very much. But if we're looking at like sub 3.5 inches, they usually gravitate to me. Well, Spyderco has two blades that we're going to be testing out and looking at today. The new Spyderco Efficient is what we have here, and we're going to be running it up against the old friend, the Spyderco Persistence. We did a review on this a long time ago, and I wanted to bring it out of retirement and run it up against the new Efficient to see what these two blades are offering, because they're both 8CR13 MOV blades. They're both come under $40. They're both about the exact same size and cutting edge, G10 handles, reversible pocket clips, liner locks, but there's also some very distinct differences in their design. So I want to help you out, point out pros and cons of the designs so that hopefully you can make a better choice of which blade would fit better in your EDC system when you're looking for those compact folders when you're on a budget. So let's go ahead, run in some action of these two guys, going to town on a bunch of different material, and then we'll come back to the indoors and we'll take a really close tabletop look at what these two blades can do so that by the end of the video, you'll know which one will fit better in your system. So let's go ahead, see what these babies can do. We're going to start with the Persistence. Several strands of paracord. Nice rolled up piece of jeans. Nice. Some heavy duty bump. Okay, now the Efficient. Ooh, look at that. That's awesome. Boom. Several strands of paracord. Nice. Let's talk about the business end of these two blades here. Now, the Efficient is going to have a 3-inch from the handle to the tip overall blade length with an actual cutting edge of 2.75, has that classic full flat grind, and is going to be 0.12 on the overall thickness of the blade, starting out with a decently thick 1/8 of an inch stock all the way down to that good precise tip there. And that wide leaf shape design, I love that angle drops almost into a Warncliffe design blade, not quite, but very close to that, and that great spear point design. 8CR13 MOV steel, and that is a Chinese made budget steel, and these knives are both made in China, but I have used a lot of 8CR13 MOV over the years, and I would say that Spyderco does some of the best heat treating on the market. So this is going to hold a good edge for the price. It's going to definitely compete, if not surpass, a lot of 420 high carbon steel knives that are out there, like budget Gerbers and buck knives, and I will say is competitive with most AUS 8. I would say maybe like SOG's cryogenic AUS 8 is maybe a little bit better in edge retention, but it's going to really sharpen up nicely. It's going to take a wicked edge very easily. So for those of you who either don't like to take a lot of time resharpening knives, or you're just getting into pocket knives and you are learning how to resharpen, this will be very easy for you to get a wicked edge back on it. 8CR13 MOV does tend to rust quickly, not as quick as maybe a high carbon knife, but it is something that you will have to oil if you do live in a very high humid environment. So overall though, love the blade shape, and as you saw in the video just a moment ago, very, very nice slicer. Very, very good, very controlled, and very precise, almost like a scalpel in its cutting capability. Now to the Persistence. Very similar leaf shape design, but you will notice that it has more of a sweep and less of that drop. So it's still leaf point, but this again has more of a drop than this one will. So it does add a little bit more capability, I would say, to the efficient in really delicate, finer stuff in the last maybe 3/4 of an inch up here than you'll get on the Persistence. The Persistence will have a slightly stronger overall blade because it starts out back here at 0.13, so just a hair thicker, and so it'll taper down a little bit slower than the Efficient will. But very similar because it does have the exact same cutting edge at 2.75 overall inches long. It just doesn't have the choil basically. So you're getting basically the exact same cutting performance, just this one will be slightly thinner. And just in the drop and the overall how the choil works that we'll talk about with the handle, you do see a slightly better precision out of the Efficient than you do out of the Persistence. But again, Chinese made HCR 13 MOV holds a good edge. It's going to resharpen very easily and basically will do for the average consumer every task that you would expect out of the other. And for, again, EDC tasks, these knives are both going to perform very, very well. All right, let's look at the handles here on these two blades. Now, they're going to have the exact same length at 4.1 inches overall length. They're both made out of G10 handle scales. So the traction is very similar. The patterns are just a little bit different. I don't know if you can pick it up on the film or not. But I would say that the Efficient has just a slightly lower grit of traction, which I actually prefer in my EDC knives, which both of these knives are. I don't like them thrashing my pockets. Now, something to note is that the Efficient is going to be a little bit thicker at 0.45 inches thick, and the Persistence is going to be 0.41 inches thick. So not much of a difference there in the thickness. You can see there that the Persistence has that standoff pillar construction flow through, whereas the Efficient has this solid backer here. It still has a little bit of a gap so you can blow your air through and clean it out. And the liners are going to be machined on both. You can see here, if I bust out my flashlight in here, that we do have machining in those liners there on the Efficient on either side, which makes this come in at 4 ounces even on my scale. And then the Persistence also machined in there. Hopefully you guys can see all that. Is going to come in at just a little bit lighter because it doesn't have that solid backer, and that's going to come in at 3.7 ounces. So very similar in their weight, but between the two, the Persistence will be just a hair lighter. Now, as we go along to how they actually feel in the hand, I wear large size gloves, and I share that with you guys so you can get good perspective on maybe you have small hands, maybe you have extra large size hands, and how it fits in mine will help you compare it to your hands. So this one is designed in such a way, the Efficient, that when I grab it here like this, and I'm going to try and do this on film. We're doing a different angle here now, so I'm going to use my left hand. There we go. You can see that it's really not designed for that. It has a nice, good lockup back here. I can get all my fingers on it, but just barely. My pinky's wanting to come off, and it's just not designed to be held this way. It has no thumb ramp. It does have a nice little set of jimping right there, and just a nice natural sweep all the way from the handle all the way to the tip. So that is going to help you just with the feel in your hand with cutting tasks. But it basically has this giant choil right here with jimping on the bottom so that you move and scoot up, and then you put your index finger right there, you put your middle finger right behind and lock yourself into place. Now I got plenty of real estate left over, and it actually gives me extremely good control over the knife with all of my cutting tasks. It literally becomes like part of my body when I do that. Now, it's not going to give me any sort of traction for more of like a stabbing task or like a prying, type of task that you may want to do with the knife. You're not going to have quite as much traction as on the Persistence. Now, do remember these are exact same handle lengths, but the Persistence, my pinky's just barely able to rest on there. It is filling out my hand fully, but I have a huge thumb ramp here. The jimping is a lot blockier. It doesn't bite in any more, any less, just different in the jimping, and then it's got that huge thumb ramp, and then not really too much of a guard down here, but I do feel more locked into place for more of those prying, doing whatever I would do tasks. I'm really locked in, or if in a thrusting motion, I feel more like I have more control, but I don't feel like I have as much control over the knife for average cutting tasks as I do on the Efficient, just because of that thumb ramp, and I can't really get up over it without it kind of being weird like this. Whereas with this knife, I feel like this now becomes part of my body. This one feels good, but just not quite as nimble in my hand. So it's going to really come down to, do you like finger choils or not? Do you prefer to use them? And how close up to the cutting do you prefer? How much more of a thumb ramp do you want? And that will determine which one feels better in your hand and which one you like more. Now the price points, as I said, are almost exactly the same, within $1 of each other. These guys are going to run you between about $35 to $38 is what you're going to see anywhere, just depending on who, what, when, where, why, what website. We will have links in the description below over to Amazon for you guys. That's always a great way to help support the channel. When you guys use those links, it helps us and we get a little kickback from Amazon, and that helps me to be able to purchase knives like these so that we can do the content that we do here. So if you do, at the end of this video, like one of the two of these knives, or maybe both, and you want to get both of them, when you use those hyperlinks provided in the description below, that really helps the channel out. And at under $40 for everything that you're going to see here today, I think it's a very comparable, very competitive price with the steels, the options, the materials used, and the capabilities, that if you are looking for that sub 3-inch basically cutting edge and knife in a compact format and you like Spydercos, this is going to give you a great bang for buck. All right, let's talk about the liner locks, the deployment, and the centering on these blades. Now, both of these blades came really well centered. You can see they're just dead center. And I've been using this one for about a month, EDCing it quite a lot, loving it as I'm EDCing it. And the persistence we've had around for quite a while. You can see that the blade is slightly offset, but just barely. And this is after about 2 years of use and being used on a regular basis. I used it for about 6 months as a regular EDC. And then when I got my Delica, which is about double the price, then I gave this to a buddy of mine and he uses it regularly around the shop. So this has been used quite a lot and the floating hasn't gotten any worse or anything like that. Now, on the efficient, when it comes to the deployment, we have this nice cutout right here for righties. Lefties, it can be done, but it's a lot smaller. You can deploy the blade with ease, but it's just not quite set up for it like a righty is, which, boom, I can flick that thing open on the bronze bushings that it has, and it just flies open like butter. Then we have our liner lock here, hits dead center there. On the back, good lockup, no wiggle, left, right, up, down. Then when it's time to close, you just close it one-handed, flick it open, close it. And that finger choil acts as a great kind of blocker for your nail. So it's going to hit your nail, you can get your thumb over it and close that thing. The detent is good as well, not coming out, and just really well set up. Now with the persistence, you can see that the holes are exactly the same in proportion to the body. They line up perfectly, so not like one hole is up higher, one is down lower. So in your hand, they're orientated about the same. And you can see there, just like on the persistence, just like on the efficient, that the persistence does have some of the eye hole being blocked for you to flick open if you're a lefty. So just take that in consideration. The efficient does block it a little bit more than the persistence does. Now these also have bronze bushings in there. And because it's been used for quite a while, it does need a little bit of lube, but in the initial years, it was really nice. I just got to give it a little bit more of a flick. It'll come open, and if we just dropped a little bit of gun oil or something in there, that would clean itself right up. As I said, this is a shop knife, so there's lots of grit in there. Nice liner lock, exactly the same thickness, and that is hitting dead center in the back of the blade there, which is really nice to see after all the years of use. So very similar, and then when it's time to close, and that right there hits your nail, closes it. So real nice, smooth open and close as well, and those bronze bushings are always an upgrade over like Teflon or something like that. Now the pocket clips and lanyard holes are similar, but they are distinctly different as well. They have basically the same shape that we see here, and both are going to have the laser engraved Spyderco logo, which is nice to see there. I've used these clips for years. They really do a good job. The persistence is going to have it 4-way directional on either side, totally ambidextrous, tip up, tip down setup, with the lanyard hole through the center screws of the actual pocket clip. And it's going to have this distinct pyramid kind of setup here on the pocket clip, whereas the efficient is right or left, so it's still an ambidextrous blade, but nothing for the tip down carry, which is fine because I only carry my knives tip up. And then it has an offset lanyard hole over here, and the screws are still in a pyramid position, but not as, what's the word I'm looking for? offset. And so what I noticed is that out of the box, after about a week, this pocket clip was swinging quite a lot on the efficient left and right. Now, I locked it down, and that was like 3 weeks ago, and it has yet to do it again. But it's just something to note there that the positioning of the screws is a little bit better to keep from that swinging than the efficient on the persistent. So something to note there. But other than that, they're both going to ride, I would say high. They're high rides. You know, I would like to see like a loop over design. Is always nice to see that on pocket clips for me, and that's what I like to see. But you know, in the sense of, you know, the tip up, tip down, that's going to be on the persistence, and then you are getting ambidextrous on both of these. So folks, in conclusion, love both of these knives. I mean, these are heavy hitters in the budget realm of knives and really can get your foot in the door into a great company, Spyderco, that has every type of level of budget to very high-end premium blades. And if you like their overall shape and design, these have great capabilities. So, I mean, I don't think you can lose with either one if you are looking for those compact folders. For me personally, if you were to say, hey, which one, if I could only take one away from this table, which one would I choose? Well, I would go with the efficient first, and it's kind of funny because there are certain aspects of it that you really wouldn't think that I would gravitate to because it is slightly heavier, and I'm basically forced into a designated finger choil. But in some ways, and if you remember way back to the native video that we did, the Spyderco Native 5, I was really kind of irritated with that fact that it forces you to use the finger choil. But for some reason, this feels different in the hand. It feels more ergonomic. It feels like that's just naturally where it's supposed to be. It's not quite as blocky as that native was. So those of you who may make a comment about that, just want to let you know. But for some reason, you know, there may be a lot of reasons why I would actually go with the persistence because of the pocket clip kind of being a little stronger in its screwing orientation, as we discussed. It's slightly lighter, you know, so some of those things. But honestly, just for me, the persistence is going back to my buddy, and he loves it. But I'm sticking with this guy, and I know I'm going to have this in regular EDC rotation for quite a while. So I'm really digging the efficient, but both, you can't go wrong. And basically just whichever blade better connects with you, you're not going to be sorry that you purchased it, and it'll be money well spent. So as always, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming over here, checking out this channel. I really hope that this video helps you guys out, having decided now which blade will be better for you, or if you just need to go buy both. It's totally up to you. But and which one will better fit inside your systems and how you like to deploy your pocket knives. Check us out on all the relevant social media. Guys, please subscribe, comment, like, share this video. Love to hear your guys' thoughts, any questions that you may have. And always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.